Well, it seems like Justin Fields made the expected impression at rookie minicamp for the Bears, but despite flashing that talent after 3 days in shorts, there's still no guarantee that he'll take over starting duties come week 1. With OTAs and training camp next on the docket, head coach Matt Nagy doubling down on Andy Dalton as the starter, not Fields.
As we work through with Justin and where he's at with this offense, we know that it's going to take a little bit of time here in this offseason and as we get into training camp. And so Andy is the starter. Andy's going to get the 1 reps. And what we're telling Justin and Nick to do is make sure that they're doing everything they can to try to be that guy. And that's that competition part. And I know that for everybody, the biggest question is when is that going to happen? When you go up to draft a quarterback like Justin, everyone's very excited and they want to know when. And trust me, we all understand that. But we need to make sure that whatever that plan is that we put together, that it's the best thing for the Chicago Bears.
Time now to bring in Jason La Canfora more of this. And JOC, it's interesting because this is the same organization that tried this with Mitchell Trubisky. We saw how they got that wrong. Now you have Justin Fields in the fold, and then he's doubling down on Andy Dalton as a starter. If you're Matt Nagy in this front office, is there any pressure to play Justin Fields sooner than later here?
I guess it depends on what you mean by sooner. We will have a preseason this year, and some of that will come out in the wash. Justin Fields is a far superior prospect to Mitch Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky was an athlete still learning to play quarterback. Justin Fields is a quarterback. Played quarterback at the highest level you can and had great success doing it. So I think this might be a little bit like the Tua situation or the Baker Mayfield situation a year or two before that. Somewhere in the first 4 to 6 weeks of the season, this transition's going to likely take place. Whether it's because he's just clearly the better quarterback, they're in a bit of a rut. People now know, hey, we need to flick the switch, start selling Justin Fields. That's the best way to save our jobs now. There's obviously a lot intertwined in this. But I think he plays in the first half of the season, and I think depending on how he looks, scout team practices through the first month of the season, maybe it gets cranked up a little bit, maybe it gets pushed back a little bit.
Before the story was Justin Fields in Chicago, we were talking Russell Wilson maybe heading that way, looking for a trade with Seattle. Meantime, the Seahawks, they're kind of looking to restructure contracts of Wilson and Bobby Wagner, 2 of those key pieces there. And Pete Carroll kind of addressed that over the weekend. Why don't you take a listen and get a reaction to this?
As always, we have all of the options available to us. We've talked about all of that as we do every year. What are our possibilities? Where do we need to go? What do we need to do if we get to certain levels of need, for the staying in compliance and all of that, for the money that we need to come up with, for other contracts. We've done all of that. So know that we've done we've looked at every single option that's out there, and even to the point where those guys know we've discussed that too. So it just hasn't been necessary at this point.
You'll see Pete kind of looking smooth there with the shades. I don't know so much about that answer. Yeah. Your reaction to what he just said about re-signing some of those major stars in Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, an extension with Russell Wilson. I mean, look, if we're talking about moving money around for salary cap purposes and doing paper transactions where we convert base salary to bonus, that they don't really need a whole lot of permission to do that. That's something that can be executed with the stroke of a pen or press of a button. If we're talking about new contracts that secure their future beyond 2022, 2023, that's a whole different exercise, and I haven't heard any buzz to that end whatsoever. This is very much a year where Russell Wilson's going to continue to be feeling out that team and the infrastructure and the coaching staff and the schematics and the ideas and the offensive line and are we all simpatico here? And look, they're kind of feeling him out as well. As much as he's been there for quite some time, his entire career, there have been a fair number of bumps in the road going back to before the last contract extension. Certainly this was a rocky offseason. And doesn't Aaron Rodgers get traded? What does that trade look like considering Russell's younger and has more years ahead of him? And I think there's no way anyone could rule out a potential trade come next January at this point, but we'll see how this season goes.
Josie, your recent article on CBSSports.com kind of breaks down some of those non-playoff teams taking a leap into the postseason. You have 5 of those fours. Can you share with us?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of these are somewhat obvious, and others might be a little bit more of a stretch, but we know with Justin Herbert, the kind of player he was. I mean, at some point, the Chargers won't be decimated by injuries, right? I think they have better game managers now on that coaching staff. I think they have a coaching staff that's more equipped to tap into all the talent on defense. New England, I think they're the second best team in the AFC East based on all the money they've spent. Can they stabilize the quarterback position and be one of the 7 best teams in the AFC? I don't know that that's asking too much. The 49ers were just in the Super Bowl recently. Health, again, are they not decimated up front by injuries on the defensive line? If not, the way they run the ball, the way they can play defense, pretty good team. Minnesota's there kind of in large part because I have this other list of 5 teams who I think could fall off, and somebody has got to win the NFC North if it's not the team I think could fall off.
You mentioned it. Run through this list right here for us, those teams that will not make it in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, the Packers is obviously a caveat if you read the column. This is based on Aaron Rodgers' drama leading into the season. The Bears barely made it last year. We just talked earlier about potential quarterback controversy there and a regime that's fighting for their jobs. The Titans, I didn't like their offseason at all. I think they're lacking in talent on both sides of the ball compared to where they were 2 or 3 years ago. The Steelers kicking the can with Ben Roethlisberger, I don't think is going to serve them well. And the Saints trying to get out from sort of under this Drew Brees thing and create a new reality for themselves. Well, we saw what it looked like in New England the first year without Tom Brady. Brady playing at a higher level than Brees. But I think that's going to be difficult for a team that is hamstrung by how all in they went to try to win one more Super Bowl with Drew Brees from a cash and a cap standpoint.
JLC, you got about 30 seconds here. Last thing I want to ask you, Dan Campbell, he's given us a lot of sound bites since taking over as the HC there.
Yes,
apparently, he now wants a Lion at practice. Your thoughts on seeing a Lion there in Detroit?
He's staying on brand. I guess I will give him credit for consistency. Be who you are, even if it is completely nonsensical. No, I don't see the NFL or the Lions or anybody else, local authorities, giving him permission to have a live wild animal at practice. That's probably a non-starter.
I mean, at the end of the day, he can kind of go back to what he said. By kneecaps off, the line would be there for that. I don't think you want that happening to players, but, you know, it goes back with the speech.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Jason Lagerford tapping in there on Dan Campbell wanting a lion? A real live lion at practice?
Good thing he's not a coach of the Turtles. Maybe he asked for Turtles.
Well, that's slow and steady. Loses the race there. Pick Six Podcast, the fellas always dialing in the closer we get to OTA, and along with training camp there, download and give the guys a follow. Tapping in with Will Brinson and John Brees and Ryan Wilson.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.